just couldn't do it. I was too afraid.
I didn't know how I was going to handle it.
That was the worst.
Wasn't ready for it. It was a really big shock.
And I was just like really embarrassed and ashamed. And I was scared, really scared.
Every day's kind of a nightmare.
I shook and I cried.
I think that's the only time in my life I thought I might pass out.
I was like, I can't do this.
I guess in a way it's kind of like, you know, every day's kind of a nightmare. I remember waking up every morning and just thinking, okay, if I just lay here with my eyes closed for, you know, maybe 10 minutes, then I'm going to wake up and realize this is all just a really bad dream.
My husband worked sometimes and didn't work sometimes. So our living situation was always kind of random. I knew immediately I had a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. No way of taking care of anything, and was just kind of out there on my own, terrified of what happens now.
People make so many judgments, and oh, they must be fast, they must be loose, they must be druggies, they must be whatever. I mean, people label people all the time, and they think they know what they're talking about, and they have no clue who the person really is. Good people get into bad circumstances sometimes, and it doesn't mean they're bad people.
Just a lot of gossip and a lot of like, it was hard to watch Glenn still doing his high school thing, you know, and me hearing about it, and, you know, it's like I was an embarrassment, not so much to my family, but definitely to Glenn's.
I mean, people decide to give their children up for different reasons. I don't believe that it makes them bad people or irresponsible people or selfish people.
Just sometimes there's a lot of negativity with the word adoption, you know, like they're unwanted. And I just know that that's not true. And I just know that they're just as wanted and just as loved by their birth mother.
When I was 16, I didn't know I was pregnant right away because I was very naive.
I was with my sister when I just told her that I felt like I was pregnant. Her and I went and picked up a home pregnancy test and took it back to her place.
I was living with my boyfriend, and I guess things had been kind of rocky.
And so our living situation was always kind of random, and stress and having 2 boys and everything else, my periods were really erratic.
But I knew that I was pregnant before that. Like a lot of women just kind of know, but I didn't say anything.
I thought, well, maybe it's just stress, or, you know, I tried to think it was anything but pregnancy.
I went to my ex's house later on that evening and told him, and he freaked out. He was not happy about it at all.
Well, he never came home one night. I found out he cheated on me, so I moved out the next day back to my parents' house and found out 3 weeks later that I was pregnant because my cycle was late.
And I was just like really embarrassed and ashamed, and then I was scared, really scared.
You know, I went to my husband and I said, I'm pregnant and I'm going to lose my mind. We can't take care of the 2 kids that we have. We're hanging on to them by a thread as it is. This is what I think needs to happen, and discussed adoption. I saw them in the phone book. I called the lady there, drove up there that night, and she had a packet put together for me of prospective parents, letters from them that I took home and went through and started reading.
I kind of, when I got up to the family that I chose for Daniel, and I read their bio, I got really upset because in the letter it said everything that I had ever wanted to give my son, and I just thought, that's it, I can't look at this anymore. I took the letters and I put them away, and I didn't touch them until I was 8 months pregnant.
I was really uncertain about it at first. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I always wanted to have kids. So my first thought initially was just that, I was going to keep it. I'd figure it out. I'd work it out somehow.
I actually made a list, a pros and cons list. And I'm not a black and white person, but I needed to have some clarity and make sure this was the right decision for me, and that the decision I was making was the right decision for Shelley.
We just talked about it, and honestly, adoption crossed my mind right away. Because Glenn and I were just so young and, still in high school. And abortion wasn't an option for me, And I just really wanted, to start thinking about the baby, and how's it gonna be, for the baby to come into this situation.
I didn't have any say. I had no idea where she went, and they said with closed adoption, you're not allowed to know where they go, because they were so adamant about you not contacting them and the parents not contacting you. And it was like, okay, you close this chapter on this book and you never look back.
It was pretty much around 8 months when I realized I would have to work 2 jobs. I'd probably never see my child. Other people would be raising the baby, and I just didn't feel like that was fair. So I opened up the package again and I started looking.
They were so amazing and so honest, and this is what life is like together, and these things are good and these things are tough, and we're just people. And it was so compelling to me.
I kind of came to a point where I actually wasn't going to place him for adoption. I was just kind of mulling it over in my head still, and we actually got a phone call from my mother's cousin, that through the grapevine of the family they'd heard that we were placing, and they had been trying to adopt. So they actually came and hung out with Glenn and I. They came and met us while I was pregnant.
I had no preparation for childbirth. I remember waking up at 3 or 3:15, something like that in the morning. And I'm thinking, what are these weird pains I'm having? Not realizing I'm going into labor.
It was really bad labor. Really bad. I had back labor. I mean, everything is just awful. The worst pain imaginable. And so, I had to get another epidural.
And Heidi was in the delivery room with me. And she was the one person in there with me. So she's there, I have this baby, and they put her on my chest. They didn't put either one of my boys on my chest immediately. And so of these 3 babies, this is the first one that immediately there's this baby on my chest. And I was scared to death. I couldn't even react. Like, no, I don't want to do this. And Heidi, oh my God. So she reaches down on the bed and she puts her arm under the back of my neck and her other arm over across Megan and just holds both of us. And it just, oh God.
My doctor was adopted. She had a very negative connection with it. When I had him, as soon as he came out, she started to just take him away from me. Totally started to just walk away with him. And my mom was like, can she hold her baby? And the doctor kind of hesitated, she didn't really think that I should be holding him because she knew, that I was planning on adoption.
the doctor laid him on my stomach, and it's just an amazing feeling. I think it's the first time I think any individual, as far as like women are concerned, they realize what true love really is when you look at your child. It's an amazing feeling.
They could leave me on the ward or they could put me up on a surgical floor. I'm like, put me on the surgical floor. And if you could get some of those people who come around with the stray pets, that'd be great. I needed a kitty or something.
I don't remember which day it was, but it was before I left the hospital. I got to go to the nursery because I didn't think they'd even let me see her. But I told the nurse, I said, I gotta see her to make sure she's okay. I don't know why, but I thought, I gotta make sure she's okay. So I went and saw her. Through the glass, that's all they would let me do, but that was better than not getting to, so. Oh boy.
I took him home on a Sunday, and I was just sitting there holding him, looking at him, thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't have a steady job. I am living with my parents. I don't have a car. And I just knew that I couldn't keep him anymore. I knew that it wouldn't be fair to him for me to keep him. That he deserved something better than just having to grow up with a single mom who didn't have a college education at all, had really just had nothing to give him. And I just knew for as much as I loved him and for as much as I wanted to be able to watch him grow up, I'd never be able to forgive myself for being that selfish.
I was sitting in the wheelchair and I was holding Daniel, and I was crying, and the nurse was looking at me and she goes, why are you crying? Are you crying because, she goes, you shouldn't be crying, you have a beautiful baby. And I just looked at her, and someone next to me turned to her, I don't remember who said it, but they said, would you mind, she's giving her child up today. Anyway, we got in the car, and I was still crying, and we got up to the place, and Kay and I both started crying. She was hugging me, and she goes, you're doing the right thing, I love you, and it's gonna be okay. And I went into the room, and I had I don't know, it was like a stack this thick of papers. It's just huge. I had to sign each one, and it sucked. It really did. Every time I went through another stack of papers to sign, it just hurt worse, and I was crying. And
so I cried the whole way into LDS Family Services building, and my mom and my dad came with me, and my mom said on the way in, she goes, Angela, she said, you need to stop crying. This is a happy day for Steve and Angie, and it's going to be hard for them to see you this upset. So I had to just kind of sit and breathe for a few minutes to kind of calm down a little bit.
And then we had to go sign the papers. So tell me about that. I can't even. That was the worst. It's so funny to remember everything because I don't remember exactly all the time like where we were. I remember being in the room. I don't remember what building. But I remember Glenn and I both having the pens in our hands. I think that's the only time in my life I thought I might pass out. But we did it.
It just opened up so many opportunities for him that I couldn't have given him. that I may never have been able to give him.
I got a letter and a series of pictures from her 10th birthday party. And here is this letter describing me at 10 years old.
She sent me pictures. She made this like a little, I call it like a little anthology of her life.
He's involved in every sport and every hobby that he can possibly be in.
It was great. I got to see a lot of his firsts, which is, it was more or less like kind of like he was waiting. Okay, Amy's here, let's show her something today. It was neat.
Just don't let other people tell you what you're doing is wrong, you know? And it's okay to be pregnant and, you know, to have to go through all that. And then also have to follow through with adoption. You know, it's okay.